and welcome to our morning edition of Arirang News. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. South Korea's ruling Democratic Party is now moving full speed ahead with judicial and media reforms. It seeks to nearly double the number of Supreme Court justices, from 14 to 26, sparking heated partisan debate. The remains of a Korean college student reportedly kidnapped and killed by an organized crime gang in Cambodia was returned to South Korea this morning. Meanwhile, investigations on the repatriated Korean suspects from Cambodia are also picking up speed, with Korean authorities issuing arrest warrants for 48 of them. Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party leader Sanae Takaichi is set to become the nation's first ever female prime minister today, after her party agreed to form a new coalition with a minor party. We begin this morning with South Korea's ruling party's moves. It's now pushing ahead with its signature reforms, unveiling bold plans on Monday to reshape both the judiciary and the media landscape, moves that have already sparked a fierce political debate. Our political correspondent Moon Hye-ryun starts us off.
The ruling Democratic Party in South Korea is accelerating its three major reforms following the passage of its prosecutorial reform bill. The DP's newly unveiled judicial reform proposal seeks to nearly double the number of Supreme Court justices from 14 to 26. This expansion, which would add 4 new justices annually until the third year of enactment, aims to speed up case handling and diversify perspectives in the top court. Given that the terms of 10 current justices, including Chief Justice Cho Lee-dae, will expire during his tenure, President Lee Jae-myung could appoint a total of 22 justices under this new system. The proposal has sparked heated partisan debate. The DP says the reforms are intended to restore public trust in the judiciary, not to interfere with court decisions.
Opposing judicial reform is no different from saying that. Given the opportunity, one would again make biased rulings based on political interests. Judicial reform is about legally ensuring political neutrality under all circumstances.
The main opposition, People Power Party, however, argues that expanding the Supreme Court is a way to exert political influence over the judiciary, calling it a destruction of judicial independence.
The judicial reform being pushed by the Lee administration is a judicial coup with zero independence and fairness, an attempt by the government to control trials and dictate their outcomes.
Other elements of the judicial reform bill include diversifying the Supreme Court Justice Recommendation Committee, introducing a judicial performance evaluation system, increasing public disclosure of court rulings, and creating a pre-hearing system for search and seizure warrants. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party also unveiled a media reform bill aimed at cracking down on false or manipulated information online. The proposal introduces a punitive damages system, allowing courts to impose up to 5 times the actual damages on media outlets or YouTubers found to have deliberately spread false content. To prevent abuse of defamation lawsuits by public figures, the bill adds a provision against cases meant to silence criticism. Moon Hye-ryun, Arirang News.
The remains of the Korean college student whose death spurred public demand for government action over crimes against Koreans in Cambodia have been returned to South Korea. And the investigation into Koreans suspected of involvement in phishing scams in Cambodia is now picking up speed. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
74 days after he was found dead, the cremated remains of a Korean college student known by his last name Park, the victim of kidnapping in Cambodia, have returned to Seoul. The remains arrived on Tuesday morning following a 3-hour-long autopsy in Cambodia by a team which included South Korean officials the day before. According to police, the autopsy revealed that there was no damage to Park's internal organs. The exact cause of death will be determined following further tissue analysis in South Korea and a comprehensive review of the investigation results from both countries. Mr. Park entered Cambodia in July and was reportedly confined by a criminal organization there. He was found dead in a car in Kampot province with signs of torture, which prompted public outrage and led to a government-wide on-the-ground response to crimes against Koreans in Cambodia. Meanwhile, investigations into the repatriated Korean suspects from Cambodia, allegedly involved as perpetrators in phishing schemes against Koreans, are picking up speed. 64 people were already detained and transferred to Korea by the Cambodian authorities, and Korean authorities have filed for arrest warrants for 59 of them. Arrest warrants were issued for 48 of them, but they too claim they were victims of torture and forced illegal labor.
전기 지짐으로 곤란하게 힘들었습니다. 진짜 죽기 전까지만 맞았습니다.
The Seoul Metro Police also announced a task force comprised of 40 officers for overseas kidnapping or missing person cases. In addition, the police also formed a team to look into the activities of Cambodian group called the Prince Group in South Korea, which has been identified as a key criminal syndicate operating in both countries. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Over in Japan, the country is set to make history on Tuesday as Sanae Takaichi becomes the nation's first ever female prime minister. The ruling Liberal Democratic Party leader is expected to be officially appointed later today, with both houses of parliament holding a prime ministerial vote this afternoon. Earlier this month, Takaichi won the LDP leadership race, securing control of the ruling party. Once elected, she will become Japan's 104th prime minister and the first woman to hold the office since the cabinet system was introduced nearly 140 years ago. So a major political shift is expected to take place in Japan, with Sanae Takaichi widely expected to become the country's new leader. For more on this, we're joined today by Dr. Kim Mi-kyung, senior researcher at Gyeongsang National University. Dr. Kim, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
So it appears Sanae Takaichi will become Japan's new leader after all, now that the Liberal Democratic Party and the right-wing opposition Innovation Party, also known as Ishin, agreed to form a coalition government, right? What's behind this move?
Oh, yes. Japanese politics is interesting, or I should say exciting to observe for a change. Had it been business as usual, the Liberal Democratic Party with Komeito coalition could have easily garnered the majority votes to automatically qualify Ms. Takaichi, the president-elect of LDP, as Japan's next prime minister. It would have been the autopiloted trajectory given the coalition between the two parties, which started in 1999. But this time was different. Komeito decided to walk out of the partnership after its leader, Mr. Saito, had meeting with Ms. Takaichi regarding the cabinet seat allocation. Mr. Saito reportedly asked for more seats for members of Komeito, but Ms. Takaichi's response was rather lukewarm. The interactive dynamic had something to do with Mr. Aso, a very influential political figure, one of the behind-scenes movers and shakers. So the LDP was in desperate need to find an alternative partner to form a new coalition to continue its majority party status. After intense lobbying behind the scenes, primarily by Mr. Aso, the very conservative Innovation Party, based in Osaka, has agreed to enter the partnership with the LDP. So with that, Ms. Takaichi will become the first female Japanese prime minister, as the anchor just has mentioned.
Right, so if she becomes the prime minister, she is expected to be here in Korea for APEC next week, right? And many critics are concerned that Takaichi may take a hardline stance against Seoul, especially on historical issues. What is her likely approach to relations with South Korea?
Yes, Ms. Takaichi is known for very conservative orientation towards history issues with Japan's East Asian neighbors. For instance, she denies the exploitative nature of Japanese military sexual slavery and extremely violent Nanjing massacre. She continued to pay tribute to the war dead, including convicted war criminals, at the Yasukuni Shrine. But after the victory as the leader of LDP, she had stopped herself from going to the shrine in person. So it seems like she'll tone down her hawkish stance vis-a-vis Japan's East Asia neighbors on history issues as Japanese Prime Minister. And as you have said, I believe Ms. Takaichi will come to APEC to make an international debut. She'll have a good opportunity to meet and rub elbows with political as well as economic leaders in the region.
Right, and she is set to become the first woman to lead the Japanese government in centuries. And this breaks the country's political glass ceiling, but some worry that she will maintain policies that have held women back. Why is this?
Oh, you know, Ms. Takaichi has survived and succeeded in the male-dominated Japanese politics. And what means is that she knows how to think, play, and win like a man. Her policy platform in particular is far from gender equality, such as married women's adoption of husband's surname. She argues that the practice is Japanese tradition, and she is also against the same-sex marriage. So when she was confronted with these criticisms, she began to promote the installation of daycare centers at workplaces so married women can manage career and caring work at the same time. But it does not mean she'll be at the forefront advocating Japanese women's rights, because the latter, for example, is to encourage women's labor market participation in the middle of population decline. So let us not expect Ms. Takaichi to act like a feminist, or she will fight for women's equal rights in the Japanese context.
I see. All right, Dr. Kim, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he expects to reach a strong trade deal with Beijing at his upcoming meeting with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in South Korea. Meanwhile, during his meeting with the Australian Prime Minister at the White House, Trump also highlighted recent trade agreements with South Korea and Japan. Our Lee Seung-jae tells us more.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he expects Washington and Beijing to reach what he called a very strong trade deal during his upcoming meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea. The comments came Monday during a White House meeting with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, where Trump also highlighted recent fair trade agreements his administration has secured with South Korea and Japan.
We worked out a very fair trade deal. Japan, we worked out a very fair deal. South Korea, where I'll be meeting President Xi, we worked out a very fair deal. And I expect we'll probably work out a very fair deal with President Xi of China.
Trump reiterated that he plans to meet President Xi in a couple of weeks as South Korea prepares to host the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in the southeastern city of Gyeongju from October 31st to November 1st. The U.S. president is widely expected to make a state visit to Korea from October 29th to 30th, with the summit offering a key stage for renewed dialogue between the world's two largest economies amid mounting trade tensions. Those tensions have sharply intensified following Beijing's recent decision to tighten export controls on rare earth elements, materials that are essential to the production of advanced electronics, electric vehicles, and military hardware. In response, Trump sharply criticized China for what he described as an extraordinarily aggressive stance on trade, warning that unless progress is made, Washington will double down on punitive measures. Meanwhile, Trump and Australian Prime Minister Albanese signed a new agreement on rare earths and critical minerals on Monday. The deal aims to secure a reliable supply of these vital materials as China moves to tighten its control over global production and exports.
We are discussing critical minerals and rare earths, and we're going to be signing an agreement that's been negotiated over a period of 4 or 5 months.
The upcoming APEC summit now looms as a crucial test of whether the world's two largest economies can defuse another round of trade confrontation, or whether the latest wave of tariffs will deepen an already fragile global trade environment. 이승재, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, Industry Minister Kim Jong-kwan says that Washington is not demanding that the $350 billion investment package for South Korea's tariff deal is made entirely in cash. Returning from meetings with his U.S. counterpart Howard Lutnick on Monday, Kim said Washington has accepted Seoul's views on the specifics of the package. This marks a step back from Washington's previous position, which was seen as demanding a blank check where South Korea would simply provide funds. Kim also revealed that a consensus was reached on potential foreign exchange market issues, which he identified as the biggest hurdle. The two countries agreed to work towards a deal in time for the APEC summit in Gyeongju later this month. And every 2 years, South Korea showcases its defense capabilities at ADEX, the country's largest aerospace and defense exhibition. And at this year's event, the country's latest unmanned systems and enhanced defense equipment were on display. Our Park Junan was there.
The South Korean Air Force's Black Eagles aerobatic flight team is showcasing their spectacular flight performances. The team also painted the sky with smoke, forming the tech symbol, the central emblem of the South Korean flag that represents balance and harmony. The Black Eagles also performed a formation named Heart and Cupid, drawing heart-shaped clouds in the sky. This airshow was the opening event of the Seoul International Aerospace and Defense Exhibition 2025, the country's largest defense-related event that promotes the excellence of South Korean defense capabilities.
Seeing it up close, it was just amazing. I thought about how hard they must have trained. Watching them fly made me feel more patriotic and connected.
It was so cool. I wish I could fly one myself.
Seeing it in person felt really different from watching it on YouTube. You can feel the thrill that videos just can't capture, and I really like that.
After the air show ended, visitors had the chance to take a closer look at the actual planes, helicopters, and various other defense-related machines. Following the conclusion of the 3-day air show, the defense exhibition opened on Monday. The exhibition will be open to the public for 5 days until 5 p.m. on Friday. This next-generation infantry fighting vehicle features technology that can counter drone attacks, a crucial capability in modern warfare. When asked about the future of modern warfare shaped by AI and unmanned systems, a senior research engineer said,
AI-based autonomous driving and detection tracking technology enables unmanned vehicles to enter hazardous areas without risking human lives. AI can also maximize effectiveness by refining and training data to suit South Korea's military environment. Based on sovereign AI, it is expected to prevent technology leakage and strengthen combat capabilities through independent AI advancement.
The operations team of ADEX 2025 said that this year's exhibition will serve as a stage not only for defense products, but also for highlighting next-generation innovations that shape the future of advanced air mobility. Park Jun-han, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Chu Ji-hyun, and this is The World Now. Starting in Israel, where U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Presidential Advisor Jared Kushner arrived on Monday to monitor the shaky Gaza ceasefire they helped broker. A U.S. Embassy spokesperson confirmed the envoy's return, saying they will meet members of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government to keep the agreement on track. Vice President J.D. Vance is also traveling to Israel to check on how things are going, acknowledging there will be fits and starts in the peace process. The delegation's visits underscores continued U.S. pressure to prevent a collapse of President Trump's 20-point peace plan, which includes a future stabilization force in Gaza and the disarmament of Hamas. Officials say Witkoff and Kushner will head next to Cairo for talks with Egyptian and Palestinian mediators. In Washington, White House Economic Director Kevin Hassett predicted on Monday that the 3-week U.S. government shutdown will end this week as pressure mounts on lawmakers to strike a funding deal. He said moderate Democrats could soon vote to reopen the government and that they had been waiting until after the weekend's No Kings protests. The Senate on Monday failed for the 11th time to pass a short bill blocked over disputes about health care funding. Hassett warned that if talks drag on, the administration may take longer steps to bring Democrats to the table. He said the president remains involved but believes the Senate must break the impasse, calling a breakthrough very close. U.S. tech giant Amazon says a massive outage of its cloud computing service, which caused global internet interruptions, has been fully resolved. The problem began early Monday, shutting down a range of online platforms from social media and streaming services to food delivery and banking apps. Amazon blamed a malfunction in its domain name system, which converts web addresses into Internet Protocol numbers. The company reported normal operations across the systems by Monday evening. Experts say the all-day disruption highlights the world's heavy dependence on a few tech giants to keep the internet running. Officials confirmed there was no sign of cyber attack, calling it a technical failure that Amazon engineers had repaired. Hollywood's biggest names filled Los Angeles on Saturday night for the Academy Museum Gala, where energy, glamour, and Oscar buzz dominated the evening. Starts from George Clooney and Penelope Cruz to Kim Kardashian, Hailey Bieber, and Robert Downey Jr. walked the carpet, which was powder blue to honor the museum's Jaws exhibition. The fundraiser event celebrated Cruz, Bowen Yang, filmmaker Walter Salles, and rocker Bruce Springsteen, who performed a live set. Director Amy Hamas said the gala raised over $12 million, the museum's record since opening in 2021.
I thought I dressed warmer than yesterday, but that chill felt stronger than expected. It's unusual to shiver when the leaves haven't even turned into autumn colors yet. This dramatic cold is caused by the frigid air streaming in from the northwest. But the air will get much softer as the week goes on, and we can expect things to return to normal by Thursday. Skies nationwide will be mostly cloudy before gradually clearing later today. However, eastern regions will stay gray throughout the day, then East Coast will see 5 to 20 millimeters of more rainfall through late tonight. And this afternoon could feel breezier than yesterday. Seoul gets up to 15 degrees Celsius under brighter skies, Daegu topping out at 18 degrees. Rain in East Coast will continue through Friday. Meanwhile, keep those winter coats on until tomorrow. Then relief on Thursday will ease us back into that comfortable autumn air.
That's all we have for this morning. Arirang News will be back at noon Korea time. Thanks for watching.